Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the iHeartRadio Network, the biggest platform in the United States. Today is September 29th, 2016, and we also want to say thank you to all of our listeners in Latin America that listen in to Charlton and Big C Sports. We call it Real Talk Big C. Also want to thank you, good old boys over in Germany. Thank you very much, as well as England, and of course the great country of Canada. I even told you, Big C, that I pulled up some listeners from Poland, and I'm really impressed with Poland because I think they have really Polish sausage. Is really good over there in Poland, Big C. Just it's kind of I'm not a comedian, okay, but I try. And also you good old boys from the United States of America, thank you so much for following Charlton and Big C Sports. But Big C, I know that you good old boys down south, you know, I know a lot of guys, they follow Charlton and Big C Sports down south, but I hear catfish sales are on the rise, Big C. Do you have something to do with that, Big C?
Well, Charlton, tonight is the perfect night for that. We're going to go out, we're going to set a fire next to the water. It's in the mid-70s.
Yeah.
So it's perfect weather for the fish. They love it when it's a little cooler, so they're a little more active, trying to stay warm, and they'll see that fire, they'll pick up some of those chicken livers that we're throwing out there in the water, they'll lure them in.
Yeah.
We have a big fish fry tomorrow. We may FedEx you some out there.
Well, I could definitely take some FedEx and a catfish, Big C. I tell some of my friends, you know, they say, well, what is this about Big C and this catfish and all that jazz? But I just say, you know how they learn how to train dolphins when you go to, like, Marine World and you watch these people who trade the sharks, and I don't know if they trade sharks, but they train dolphins to jump up out of the water. Maybe you good old boys train sharks, Big C, but I think you guys train the catfish to jump into the bucket or to the net. Is that it, Big C?
Well, they know where home is. They know that their belly's a nice warm place when he's been consumed. So he likes that hot grease, and then he loves going down and sitting in my belly all night.
Well, like Billy D. Williams, he said, don't let the smooth taste fool you. So catfish, when you see that hot skillet, don't necessarily go inside next time. And also, speaking of hot skillet, this section is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You can only get it there brand new, and when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, I think you're kind of a storyteller, Roger, because, you know, the catfish thing is, I think it's really caught on, and sometimes you're wondering, are people really listening to what I'm talking about? Well, I heard this station up here in Northern California, they actually cover an NBA team, and they have a car dealer as a sponsor. And they used to just have a 20 to 30 second spot, Big C. Now they got about a 2-minute segment talking about how the car is and, you know, what they spill inside of the car. I just think that's so funny, Big C, but I think you got something good.
As long as they're not carrying catfishing charges, then we don't have plagiarism or copyright infringement. You know, I'm getting that patent right now that I'm going to be the only guy to be able to carry catfishing and escalate.
You might be the only guy that can train catfish to get in the hot skillet. That's really the miracle part, Big C. But also, I know we have a lot of good things happening in the world of sports, and we have, even in the world of politics, you know, listening to Donald Trump, I'm thinking about not paying my taxes, Big C, but I don't know if that's going to work for me. But it reminds me when Donald Trump was talking about not paying taxes because he's smart, but he's going to change the military if he's elected president. He's going to also fund the fire department. It reminds me of a great comedian by the name of the late Richard Pryor. He told a skit one time, Big C, where he walked in the house and you found his woman, actually, no, his wife walked in the house, or his girlfriend, or maybe he had both, Big C, but walked in the house and found him in bed with a Playboy model, right? And she was all upset. I can't believe that you're doing this to me, Richard. And he said, I'm not doing anything. We're just talking. And she didn't believe him. He said, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And so that reminds me of Donald Trump. I don't pay my taxes, but I'm going to help Americans cut taxes, Big C. Your thoughts on Donald Trump?
You know, you got to love Donald Trump, Dalton. I mean, this is a guy who understands that telling a lie in his world is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because what he is doing is that he's taking these Americans who believe in him and he's telling them how dumb they are.
Yeah, how dumb.
He honestly is, Dalton. Because I'm lying to you and you believe what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You know, he crossed over to the world of sports today, Charlton.
Oh, yeah?
You know, we know what he did with the New Jersey Generals. He defunct an entire league.
Yeah, ran him out of business.
Greed and stupidness.
Yeah.
And today he said that the owners of the San Francisco 49ers were stupid.
Oh, yeah?
Because they haven't fired Colin Kaepernick. This is him calling very successful businessmen who probably have more money than him.
Yeah.
And running in one of the greatest leagues in the world.
Yeah.
The NFL.
Yeah.
And he's saying that they are stupid for keeping Colin Kaepernick on the roster because he's an embarrassment to America. He is not an embarrassment to America in any kind of way, Charlton. As I told you and we spoke about before,
Yeah.
football is just his job.
Yeah.
It does not define the man who he is. And to be able to take a stance, that's the American way. We see that all the time with Americans. You talk about what you want to talk about,
Yeah.
and no one takes it and makes a backlash of it. He's talking about he should leave and go find another country to live in. Think about how many yahoos that we have in this country, Charlton, that still think the South won
the Civil War.
The Civil War.
Yeah.
They're saying, it still belongs to the South. And
Yeah.
so why shouldn't they find another country? We don't hear that from the political race.
Well,
where should they go?
I think one of the most awkward parts, and it reminds me of the late Richard Pryor about, the skits, and he told this one story about, he came home with this girl that he was trying to date, and then the girl's daddy realized that he was Richard Pryor and that he's rich and famous. And the man told his daughter that you better date this man, bring your mom down too. I thought Richard Pryor, he always crossed the line, but here's Donald Trump telling black Americans that, Black Lives Matter, and he's going to do more to help the black community. And before he even gets elected, if it happens, before he gets elected, one of the first things he wants to do is fire a black man from the NFL. Big C. That's crazy.
He knows nothing about the NFL. The NFL could say, Donald, there's no way that you can enter this league.
Yeah.
You remember a couple of years ago, he tried to put in a bid for the Buffalo Bills after the late owner had died.
Yeah.
And, they said, no, we're not going to let you in our country club.
Yeah.
We don't want your racist behind in the club.
Right.
You're an embarrassment to America. So why would we want you in the most exclusive club in America, the NFL? But, for him to take that stance, and then 48 years after the fact of Mexico City, of two of the greatest sprinters of all time being banned from amateur sports.
Yeah.
Tommy Smith and Lee Hines came out and backed Colin Kaepernick on his presentation. Charlton, it's almost like what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
The governor of Nebraska want to go in and admonish players at the university for not standing. The governor.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't he have other things to do other than worrying about a couple football players
no,
who are not standing
they
and
want
taking the knee?
He wants to kick a couple of black kids out of college. That's what he wants to do for exercising the First Amendment rights.
The team with Lawrence Phillips committing rape and battery because they had a chance of winning a national championship. This is the University of Nebraska now.
Yeah, that's true.
They have a double standard. If you commit a criminal offense, they will keep you on the football team.
Yeah.
But if you do something non-violent and you're taking a personal stance on belief, then they want to kick you out of the university. This is the University of Nebraska stance, Charlton, on athletics.
Well, see, unfortunately and fortunately, when you talk and you engage in dialogue, it's okay to agree and disagree, and that's part of life. You and I don't agree on a lot of things. I like my fish baked, and you like your fish deep fried, Big C. I don't disagree. I don't hate you for that, Big C.
Grease does something for your cholesterol.
Oh, yeah, it drives it up. It drives it up, Big C. But, the funny thing is, and we talk about this all the time, in politics and sports, it's all the same because sports is a billion-dollar industry, and it actually brings people together. And I love it. Whether you're a man or woman, young or old, grandparents taking their grandkids to games, is always part of the business. However, what we've always talked about is what happens to young athletes once they take the uniform off, Big C, especially the African Americans. I'm going to just bring up a story that happened just recently with the University of Oregon. They've gotten off to kind of a rough start this year in the Pac-12 conference. They just lost a game at home to Colorado, 41-38. That's the first time they lost to Colorado since the Buffaloes joined the Pac-12 back in 2011. Well, these players, most of them are African American. They all called a team meeting without the head coach, Coach Halford. Now, not to say anything bad about the coach, because nobody knows what happened in that meeting, Big C, but they believe there's going to be some good that comes out of it. Now, Uncle Phil Knight, he actually donates millions of dollars to the Oregon football program and their total athletic program overall, Big C. But here's some players now that are calling a meeting without the coach, and some of the fear is maybe unspoken, but some of the fear is, are they starting to be too social, Big C, and question what's going on in the world of athletics? Here's Phil Knight, I think, gave over $400 million to the University of Oregon. The kids get no money. However, like the coach at Notre Dame, when they start losing games, they start threatening to take away scholarships and just to get rid of those kids, Big C. I think the day of the dumb athlete is over, at least for most schools here in the Pac-12. There are a lot of conferences. They don't care. They don't question anything, Big C. But I think that movement that you see going on around the country is people aren't willing to just play dumb anymore. So now when players call a players-only meeting, is that going to create more suspicion, like the guys at Nebraska trying to kick kids off the team, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, isn't that myth about college the opportunity for higher education?
Yeah, as long as you don't play sports. Big C,
when these young men seek to obtain more knowledge of what you want to limit them to, now all of a sudden they're becoming
Anti-American, for exercising their right.
And not anti-university, not anti-team, but anti-American.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago when the University of Northwestern sued the NCAA for not paying players that antitrust suit when it got started.
Yeah.
They were laborers and they were being forced to work and not receiving compensation. Everybody said, well, they get scholarships.
Yeah.
Charlton, look around campuses and look how many children are on scholarships at universities across the country.
Yeah.
Not athletic scholarships, but other scholarships.
Yeah.
They're not forced to go out and practice for 20 hours a week, Charlton.
Yeah.
Practice and lift weights and work out for 20 hours a week. Athletes are basketball, football players. You're forced to go to weight training. You're forced to go to conditioning. You're forced to go to practice.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I'm having a bad day. I don't feel like going this week. All of a sudden, you end up losing your scholarship.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's funny because...
And you're threatened all the time as an athlete, Charlton. Well, we'll replace you. We'll put you on the bench. We got one on the bench just as good as you.
Yeah.
You're hearing that all the time. And that's ironically a racial statement when they make that, because they say we got one as good as you. You know?
Well, think about this, Big Z, and then I want to get into our next sponsor, but think about this. Your good old friend, Nick Saban, University of Alabama, they have a quarterback, and actually this kid from California, Blake Barnett, he's actually the new quarterback right now, but they started the season with another player that actually wanted to redshirt, not even redshirt, Jalen Hurts. He wanted to leave. I think he's from California, went to Corona Centennial High School, and they helped win a state championship in California, but he was replaced by this new quarterback from Texas. Well, think about this. He wants to transfer. In fact, they said he's already left the program because he wants to play. When the African-American kid wanted to leave earlier, he stood in his way. There's no talk about standing in this kid's way. What's up with that, Big C?
Well, he wanted to transfer to the University of Georgia. And Nick Saban said, no, I'm not going to release you from scholarship, even though he had graduated.
Yeah.
So he was going to be a fifth-year graduate student at the University of Georgia. He had already finished his academic responsibilities at Alabama.
Yeah.
Which you should praise the kid for. So he's moving on to a new arena in life. And Nick Saban stood pat, saying, no, I'm not going to let you out of your scholarship. This is what he did to an African-American player.
Yeah.
But this Anglo quarterback who got beat out in the first game of the season,
he wants to quit.
Replaced by this freshman.
Yeah.
He said, I can't take this.
Yeah.
I can't sit on the bench for the next 3 years while this kid goes out and potentially wins one, if not two, national championships for you.
Yeah.
So I want to leave. And so they said, okay, you can go. You're white. You can go seek greener pastures elsewhere, get an opportunity to play elsewhere.
No resistance whatsoever. None.
Yeah. No backlash.
Yeah.
No holdback, Charlton. Nick Saban said, good gracious, we're going to help you find another school.
And they didn't call him unpatriotic either.
The black kid who wanted to go back to his home state, Nick said, no.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you here. Not until the court got involved did Nick relinquish.
Oh, when some attorneys got involved and some attorneys said, you can't impede a person's progress in trying to go get an education or get a job. The Jim Crow days are over, Big C, and I know that we're the only ones that talk about that because a lot of people are sick of fence and they want to get the interview, Big C. But I just think all Americans should pay attention. Just earlier this season, African-American player wanted to leave. They stood in his way, said no. It was almost like Governor Wallace. No, won't let you do it. This is old St. Nick that makes $7 million a year on the black athletes, Big C. White kid wants to transfer. No resistance whatsoever. And also, speaking of resistance whatsoever, Big C, this segment is sponsored by your California Lottery. What could a buck do for you? I told you they're building a new casino here in Northern California, Big C. And I think it takes more than $1 just to get inside, Big C. In fact, I went to the lotto and I asked them what I could get for a buck, and they said probably about $20 million if you hit the lotto, Big C. Go to a casino, ask what you can do for a buck. I think you get a bubble gum and maybe half a glass of wine, Big C. Does that make any sense?
But Charlton, you can't even offer a buck to the valley and people look at you.
Yeah.
The self-serve parking lot is out there. Okay?
Yeah, that's so funny. I remember one time, some skycapping friends told me at a time, working at airports, people would come through there and you get a buck. I guess they get a buck or two a bag, but some people would bring $1 and you think, okay, $1 bag's not too bad, and they ask for 75 cents change because I think that's the experience a lot of people get with the lottery. But you know what? The money is good for the schools. They say money goes to the help of the schools, helps with education. So go out and take a buck and invest in the California lottery. Big C, also one more thing I want to bring up is when you talk about this coaching carousel, and you brought it up too about NFLs, right? The NFL and also college football is a feeder system for the NFL. We know one of them pays you a lot, the other doesn't pay you a lot. However, I want to go into what we talk about coaching, because this thing about Chip Kelly out here with the 49ers, he's taken a lot of backlash because he started supporting Colin Kaepernick as well as the organization, the 49ers organization, and also the commissioners of the top 4 leagues, sports leagues in the United States, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and also NHL hockey. Now, no one's called these commissioners sycophants. No one's called them dummies. No one told them shut up and sit down, because they're all Caucasian. And the reason I bring that up is because every time someone tells Colin Kaepernick to shut up, and they don't attack the commissioner of the NFL, they don't attack the commissioner of the NBA, they don't attack the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and they don't attack the commissioner of hockey, they all have said the same thing that Colin Kaepernick said. It just happens that one is black and the 4 that are white, they don't get criticism for not being unpatriotic, Big C. Does that make any sense?
Well, Charlton, I still try to figure out the backlash against Colin Kaepernick, who is an athlete.
Yeah.
He's not an advocate. He's not a spokesperson. He's an athlete doing a private stance. Why is the media so focused on him? There's probably 24 cameras at every NFL game, Charlton.
Yeah.
And beyond those cameras, you take the steel cameras. There's probably 1,000 of those.
Yeah.
Why are they all focused on Colin Kaepernick? Isn't the game bigger than Colin Kaepernick?
Well, it's supposed to be.
All the issues bigger than Colin. If you do not show Colin Kaepernick,
yeah,
who knows what Colin Kaepernick is doing? But because these reporters and these television broadcasters lack content,
yeah,
and knowledge about what this event is all about, Charlton, they focus on Colin Kaepernick in a negative light.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick is not starting an upheaval. He is not trying to draw attention to himself. The cameras draw attention to Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
There's not 60,000 people in the stadium looking for Colin Kaepernick on the sideline.
Yeah.
These are the cameras who are bringing him into millions of homes, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is the negative plot by the media.
Yeah.
The media has created this outlash against Colin Kaepernick, the athlete.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's be real about that, because who knew about Colin Kaepernick? The first 2 preseason games, Charlton, no one even knew he was on the bench.
Right.
Until someone circled him out in a photograph sitting. Then all of a sudden everybody wants to focus on him on the sideline with the uniform on.
Yeah.
And now, why?
Yeah.
What is the problem?
I think
what has Colin Kaepernick done to hurt America in any kind of way? I mean, we had another school shooting today, Charlton.
Today?
Today, another school shooting. That's an atrocity. The kid shot his dad, then went on to the school in North Carolina and shot students. All right?
Wow.
This is anti-American.
Yeah.
Not Colin Kaepernick. When we have these shootings going on in malls, Charlton, on the freeway, I believe it was in Houston last week or earlier this week.
Yeah.
And we have the situations in another school. The NRA, I guess, is pretty proud when we see all this, not only with the shootings that are going on in Carolina and everywhere else, but this kid went and shot up a school, Charlton.
Wow.
We're not going to hear any backlash about that for the next month. But we'll continuously hear people talking about Colin Kaepernick being anti-American. Anti-American, Charlton, is killing Americans, okay?
Yeah, I think that's
anti-American.
Yeah.
Not taking a knee during the national anthem. The media has their focus all wrong. They're focusing on sports. They need to stay on social issues.
Yeah.
Not about an athlete taking a stance, Sean.
Well, see, Big C, you brought up Tommy Smith earlier in Mexico City, and I think it's just the day of having people stay dumb and ignorant is over. I know a lot of people want the status quo to remain the same, but I still bring out a guy like Boomer Esiason or Trent Dilfer or even, Coach Mike Ditka when they all want to fire Colin Kaepernick. But I just want to see if they're going to call for the firing of the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, if they're going to call for the firing of the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, or Manfred for for the Major League Baseball or for the hockey commissioner as well? Are they going to call for that? Because they're all powerful white men who also agree with Colin Kaepernick having the right to express his opinion, but there's no backlash when white men exercise their First Amendment right. And I think that's part of what's happening, Big C.
Back to 1996, okay?
Yeah.
1996, one of the greatest moments in American history.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Olympics, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody remembers who lit the torch, okay?
Yeah, Muhammad Ali.
The great late Muhammad Ali, okay? Got world-renowned recognition for this, okay? Muhammad Ali has been an advocate and a spokesperson versus injustice, not in America, but around the world.
Yeah.
For decades. From the 60s. He started this in the 60s. It took the United States 30 years after he had started what he was doing to recognize him. And you know why they recognized him in Atlanta, Charlton?
Why is that?
He can no longer speak.
Wow.
Parkinson has taken control of his body and his mind. So he cannot stand on that world platform and let you know how he feels and how much injustice was going on. But he went and lit the Olympic torch to show the world that there was still hope for debilitating disorder, Charlton.
Yeah, and see, and that's
what he did. He was still being a spokesman.
Yeah.
But the world silenced Muhammad Ali for 30 years, being the greatest individual that everybody recognized. If he spoke, he was like E.F. Hutton.
Yeah.
People listened, Charlton.
Well, see,
but they would not give him that platform to let the world know of the injustice and atrocities that were going on. But they put him on stage in the 96 Olympics, and they thought they silenced him completely, but they did not, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, see, Big C, that's part of the whole process of people having a voice now. And I just want everyone to be mindful that you don't have to be a black man to realize that society's been biased. Just read the Kerner Commission report half a century ago, issued by the late Lyndon Baines Johnson. Rights that black Americans fought for. It also benefited mainstream women, which are Caucasian for the most part. And you got to understand that you don't have to be a woman to understand that sexism is real in the United States. That there's you have to.
The
go
Voting
ahead.
Rights Act allowed white women to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't have the right to vote until the Voting Rights Act. So
yeah.
When you think about that, not only were African Americans and Latinos allowed to vote, white women were allowed to vote because they could not go to the polls and voice their opinions on politics.
Yeah.
And now, Charlton, after that, what do we have? 56 years later.
Yeah.
We have a woman running for president with a legitimate chance to win because of Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Yeah.
If not for Lyndon Baines Johnson, Hillary Clinton may not be running for president.
Yeah, and so the
you
same.
You got to think about what he did for America. You want to talk about a great American.
And he was white.
All of America.
And he's a white man.
He was a white man.
Yeah.
But he brought minority America into the voting mainstream, Charlton, in 64.
Yeah, and it's like when people stand up and say, don't express your First Amendment right if you're black. If you're white and you're Donald Trump, you can go around and say all kind of asinine things, and people say, yeah, that's the guy we want to run our country, the guy who doesn't pay his taxes, right?
Well, the thing about it, Colin Kaepernick was saying the asinine remarks that Donald Trump said.
Yeah.
Think about that. If he was coming out in a press conference, say, I'm going to talk like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What would Americans' thoughts be on him?
Yeah.
But it's okay for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because he's this redneck from New York, and he's spouting out the truth.
And
the truth about what?
Yeah, well...
So he told 51 lies in the debate, Charlton. 51.
Yeah.
And he goes out the next day and the day after that still telling lies.
Well...
But when you got these Yahoo closet people who
Yeah.
want to believe that, we're going to take our country back. Where did America go, Charlton? When did it leave?
Yeah.
It never left.
Well,
It's always been here.
Think
On
about
the planet, it's always been here.
Think about
but you got Donald Trump taking those people uneducated.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, we got a lot of middle class. They're uneducated.
Yeah, well, see, it's funny. It's almost embarrassing, but here he is in a black church with, I think he was there with Don King. He's stumping for the black vote. For the first time in his life, he went into black communities asking them to vote for him, Big C. But when you think about how stupid is this, because there are some African Americans that are naive too. Here he is asking for the black vote, and then when he's debating against Hillary Clinton, he believes that search and frisk is something he wants to implement if he's the president, which was ruled unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional to search and frisk people just because they're black, because that's what it was aimed at. And he used Giuliani, who's also one of the good old boys. They were saying that it brought down crime because they could pull over and stop any black person they wanted to that they thought was a criminal. And then they asked for the vote.
He said that the major problem with African Americans' reactions on the street and elsewhere in society is because they're all on drugs.
Yeah, I heard him say that garbage.
Cause all the problems in the African American community.
But you know what, Dixie?
I've been pulled over by police and I didn't have any drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
All the drugs I ever used, Charlton, are prescription.
Yeah. But see,
and I got a bottle and a doctor's name on there and a pharmacy for everything that I've ever used, and I'll use them the rest of my life. So I'm a legal drug addict, technically.
Well, think about he was talking about Sean Hannity, how he kept mentioning Sean Hannity, who everybody knows he's kind of bigoted to his opinions. Big C.
He's a big. He has a rant on Fox and on a radio station.
Just Sean Hannity, David Duke, they're all the same kind of mentality, and he keeps.
Why don't he get David Duke to come with and stand with him at the
because Sean Hannity works for Fox.
President of the KKK.
Yeah.
And not only that, get LaFleur, the guy from the NRA.
Yeah.
Get him up there.
All of his friends.
Those are the people that Donald Trump needs to have at his side because he's not listening to any solid advice from any political veterans out there.
Well, ironically, the last thing I mentioned on Donald Trump, Big C, before we get into a little bit of NFL, is when he had Don King in the black church, and he kept dropping the N-word. Don King, the great boxer promoter that stole Muhammad Ali's money and Mike Tyson's money, he's using him as the example of black Americans using the N-word. Well, Don King, the guy who spent years in prison.
On a homicide
charge. But see, Don King's so foolish to know that Donald Trump believes in stop and frisk. So what if he gets elected? Then he's probably going to pull over guys that look like Don King. So what a knucklehead Don King, Big C. And speaking of knuckleheads, we just want to make sure that everyone goes out and vote, no matter what you believe in, Democrat, Republican. Exercise your right to vote, but please be a little bit more well-read before you vote for certain people. And speaking of voting, this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. That means even Donald Trump could get coverage, Big C. And we're also endorsed by the AFL and the CIO, and we can insure all of the unions in the United States. Plus, we're endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. Tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. We're looking to employ over 1,000 Americans to put people back to work, Big C. And also, when it comes to putting people back to work, we know we have a lot of NFL games coming up. We have Major League Baseball hitting off too, and getting ready for the playoffs to start in October. But tonight's game in the NFL may have some significance. It's just weird to watch football on Thursday. Even though I'm addicted to it, I'm going to watch it anyway. I just want to get your thoughts on if it's going to be a game that really sets the tone for Cincinnati. They have to win this game. They're at home versus Miami, which hasn't played that bad this year. I think Cincinnati gets back on track. If not, you can guarantee that Marvin Lewis will be on the hot seat again, Big C.
Yeah, this is a must-win for Cincinnati. Andy Dalton has been one of the more solid quarterbacks in the NFL over the last 4 seasons, Charlton. And, they've gotten off to this rocky 1-2 start this year.
Yeah.
They're playing Miami, who hasn't done much better in the win bracket.
Yeah.
But, this is a game that it's set up for Cincinnati to win. We know on any given Sunday, even though it's Thursday night, that anybody can win a game. But Cincinnati has all the tools to win this game. They get Burfict back on defense.
Yeah.
So they'll have that solid defensive secondary. Pat Man comes back also.
Yeah.
So they'll be intact defensively. Offensively, they just got to keep pounding the ball, running the ball. Miami's had a few problems with their defensive line. So if they can set up that running game and keep the pressure on Tannehill, they should take this one at home tonight. They can't afford to lose another one this early in the season. As you said, people will be calling for Marvin Lewis's head, even though he's made the playoffs as the head coach.
Yeah.
Jeff Fisher hasn't made it in 15 years.
Well, see, Marvin Lewis, he's also subject to search and frisk. Now, you guys think about this, too, because this is a sports show, and sometimes
think
people...
about all the professional athletes.
All of them, and this is so important because this is what it means to say Black Lives Matter. Here's a guy running for president of the United States, and I'm black and I'm not dumb, so I'm going to say it. Here he is saying that he believes in search and frisk because you're black. They don't do it to white kids, blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids, white women or white men. They're not talking about that. They're talking about black men specifically. They're not even using the good old racist code words, okay? They're saying they want to do it in the inner cities because that's code word for black men. So for all the ignorant black people that want to vote for this guy that's willing to take every one of your kids and have illegal search and frisk done to them when we know there's been a lot of police brutality, a lot of officers are good, but they're not good when they don't turn into bad ones, Big C. Here's a guy saying he's so bold about his bigotry that he wants to make it legal to search and frisk any black person. And you have some knuckleheads trying to vote for that, Big C. And he's also trying to buy an NFL team, which consists of about 75% African American. Now, if you're just a dumb person, go ahead and vote for the guy that's going to profile your kids. But if you're Caucasian and you believe that Black Lives Matter, why in the world would you put a guy in office that's telling you he wants to illegally search and frisk all black Americans, which is unconstitutional? And most of the people in the United States, they watch black men perform in sports, whether it's athletics or entertainment. Here's a guy saying he wants to make it legal to search and frisk any black person. I mean, and you're going to vote for that garbage? That's just a joke, Big C.
Well, Charles, to think about all the athletes out there, not just black, but white, Latino, South American. They all drive the most expensive sedans and sports cars and SUVs and pickups in the world, okay?
Yeah.
They do that. And black people have been known for being pulled over for driving these cars. Now, when you talk about all the professional leagues, baseball, basketball, football, and the three brothers that play in hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, they might get pulled over too.
They don't get pulled over because is this your car? Did you steal this car? Are you on parole?
Yeah.
Where did you get out of jail? And this guy is making millions of dollars. And I'm not saying that they can't.
Yeah.
But look at all the people around the world. You think about the number of cars that athletes own, okay? As a collective group.
Yeah.
How many wealthy Americans own more cars, Charlton?
Yeah.
Those dealerships are built on the wealthy Americans buying those cars.
Yeah.
It's just fortunate that a few athletes can afford them.
Well,
okay?
Yeah. And Big C.
America builds the Bentley dealerships, okay? The Mercedes dealerships.
Yeah.
The BMW dealerships, the Ferrari dealerships. That's on wealthy America, not on athletes, Charlton. The exotic car industry. When you look at the oil money in this country, those guys buy money.
Yeah.
Buy cars.
Yeah.
It's not the athletes who keep dealerships open because that athlete buys the car, he's going to have it for several years.
Yeah.
He's not trading it in every other year or whatever to get the next updated model.
Yeah.
So they're not buying all the Lamborghinis, all the Maseratis, Charlton. Wealthy Americans are buying them. They just happen to be a small percentage of wealthy Americans, but Donald Trump wants to make it legal to pull over those African-American athletes because they're part of that wealthy elite group.
Well, think about this, Big C. And this segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. We're also looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports. We're also trying to help put American families back to work. Understand that we're with the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States, bigger than Telemundo, bigger than Fox Sports, bigger than CBS, bigger than ESPN, and even bigger than MTV. So tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports and follow us because we have real sports talk. We're not just going to give you the scores, but I do want to pay homage to one of our great athletes, Big C, who's a black American who also paid homage to a white American, the great Lou Alcindor, and who later became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He is writing a book and is dedicated to his longtime friend, the late Coach John Wooden, his coach at UCLA, was a Caucasian man. He had a lot more character than a guy like Donald Trump because he believed in liberating. He believed he was an egalitarian. He believed that all people should be treated equal, Big C. And the thing that I like about him paying homage to a Caucasian man is people got to understand, and I'm reaching out to my white brethren, especially the ones who are afraid to stand up for causes that help black kids, okay? It's okay to treat people the way you want to be treated. It doesn't matter what color you are. But if someone is so blatant and so flagrant that they want to become the president of the United States and they want to take a law that's ruled unconstitutional and he wants to reinstitute that law to make it legal to treat black Americans the same way we were treated in Jim Crow. You can search and frisk anybody you want because you feel like it. I mean, that's dangerous, number one. I don't care what color you are. If you have any black Americans in your lifetime, I doubt if John Wooden would have ever voted for a guy like a Donald Trump. And I'll say it because it's the truth. For anyone who thinks that this is funny, it's not funny. All you have to do is go back to prior civil rights and look at Governor Wallace, and he espoused the same kind of views that Donald Trump views. He just wasn't rich, and he did pay his taxes. That's the only difference, Big C. So as people get into sports business, stop being dumb. Just don't be a dumb person. If you don't know enough, go out and find somebody who does. But I hate the fact that sports sometimes is used to numb people's minds and just focus on whose team is going to win in fantasy football. People have to get out and vote this election because this is not a joke. This is about all the people who really believe in equality, Big C. And as we get into that, I just want to touch on a little bit of baseball before we close out. You know, this baseball race is going down to the wire, Big C, and we have some great pennant races going on, and I'm telling you.
Actually, Charlton, last night the Boston Red Sox
they clinched
the final berth
in a loss
in the American League.
Yeah,
and they did that by the Yankees losing. Charlton.
Yeah, by losing at the Yankees, and at the same time, you have the Mets, you have the Giants, you have the Cardinals. They're all competing. The Giants are a game and a half behind the Mets, and they're just one game over the Cardinals. And it's great baseball theater. And again, I just want people to keep in mind that when you watch these sports, you'll see diversity in the stands, you'll see diversity in the locker rooms, you'll see diversity in the teams. And I just want our country to realize it takes black and white to pull everybody together. So I don't want to just be another dumb sports show that says, hey, what do you think about the game last night, Big C? I want people to really come together and think about what type of society we have, because sports is an example of what we can be. When the gentleman lost his life for the Miami Marlins, the Florida Marlins actually, Big C, there was black and white that mourned this gentleman's passing. Okay, happened to be a Cuban American. Everybody mourned him, black and white. I hope our country can evolve to that, but we can't have this divisiveness going on where we don't even question it. This is no longer the 1940s where we just sit there and shake our boots. People don't have to act like Jackie Robinson was forced to act, Big C. I hope, and I appreciate you for opening my mind, because I used to think, hey, let's just go watch the game and be great about it. Well, let's not talk about things that are painful, because we don't want to make people who don't like us tell people that they don't like us, Big C. So guys like Donald Trump, or if you're Mike Dicker or Boomer Esiason, and you're telling Kaepernick to sit down and shut up, and you would fire the guy, you would make another black man unemployed for exercising his First Amendment rights. And they're so brazen, they say it on national TV. What's an uneducated person have going for him when he works a blue-collar or even white-collar job, and they don't have anyone who believes in them, Big C? I think we have to eradicate racism. We have to eradicate sexism. And if it takes sports to do it, I know there's not a lot of shows that are bold enough like we are to do it. But I am bold enough because I want to make society better. I can't sit by in silence and watch this garbage behavior go unchecked, Big C. If I make a mistake, call me on it. But if you know someone's bigoted in their speech, you have to stand up to that person, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, I've watched over the decades, I've watched African-American broadcasters lose their jobs for addressing a social issue.
Yeah.
Whether it's been NBC, CBS, ABC, ESPN now, and even Fox. There's been African-American broadcasters and commentators losing their jobs over the decades.
Well, where's Bob Costas or Jim Nantz? Where are they, Big C? They've been in the business for a long time.
Look at the guys you just spoke about recently.
Yeah.
If you think about the guys that ESPN just got rid of off their broadcast.
Most of them black, yeah.
On football. They got rid of 3 African-Americans. Ray Lewis, Tom Jackson, Chris Carter, and Keyshawn Johnson.
Keyshawn Johnson, yeah.
Who are gone.
Yeah.
Okay? They had made political stances and statements. And they're gone.
Yeah.
But now you get Trent Dilfer comes out and makes a political statement. He's okay. You get Troy Aikman even came out and made one against
Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless. Yeah.
And now you got Boomer Esiason
for
it's
CBS.
Okay for him to make these racial statements and political statements. It's okay if you're white to do this in sports. It's all right. But if you're an African-American taking a stance, you're anti-American.
They want to take away your job. Take away his job.
Anti-American is saying something negative against another American. That's anti-American because he's an American also.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick has not said anything negative against any individual.
Yeah.
But we've had these Anglo individuals spewing negativity towards Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Whether it's Donald Trump on down, whether it's broadcasters, whether it's people in the mainstream media, whether it's just no private citizens.
Yeah.
You're making anti-American comments. Think about who you are and who he is. He's American. He was born here.
Yeah.
Just like you, he deserves every right to make any stance that he wants because he's American.
Yeah.
He's a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen. You can't go out and find anything negative about Colin Kaepernick other than the stuff that everybody is spewing in negative comments.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything to anybody. But the people who are attacking him, that's anti-American to attack Colin Kaepernick. That's just like when we had the backlash from Donald Trump against the president.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not American.
He's not American. Show me your birth certificate.
For 7 years he said this crap.
Yeah.
He showed it the first year. Everybody knew he was born in Hawaii. He's always been American. He could have never been a senator. He could have never ran for president.
Yeah.
He had to fill out forms, had to have back checks and facts on him from the American government.
Yeah.
The American government verified that he was American. Donald Trump, who is anti-American, why can't Donald Trump find an American wife?
Or just pay his taxes. Or just pay his taxes, Big C.
From these 4 third-world countries, Charlton, because they're the only ones stupid enough to hang around.
No, they love him because he's good looking, Big C. Okay, I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but what kind of eyes do you have? Okay. So anyway, I just want to say this final segment is sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org and CYNN Entertainment. Contact Cynthia Evans when it comes to promotion. She's the best in Northern California. Big C, I just want to close out this thing because I want to think that when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's name was Lou Alcindor, okay, and he changed it to a Muslim name, which is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you know, the country had some issues with that because they thought he was anti-American. You know someone who really supported him, one of the greatest American sports figures? The late John Wooden, which was an older Caucasian man. Okay, he didn't ostracize this gentleman. He supported him. They were friends until the end of Wooden's life. So it's not about black and white. It's about right or wrong. But if you're a Caucasian, you're my Caucasian brethren, when you know you have a bigot out there who's running for office, or even if he's a coach, and you say nothing and you acquiesce to that treatment, I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to call you out. If I say wrong, call me out. So guys like Mike Ditka, Boomer Esiason, you know, the Troy Aikmans out there and the Bob Costas who say nothing. They say nothing at all. They couldn't care less if Donald Trump gets in the office as he has his search and frisk. They're not going to search and frisk white people. They're not looking for blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids. They're looking for black Americans. If you're dumb enough to vote for this garbage that wants to profile your kids, when we know all the garbage that's happened in this country, and even if you're Caucasian, and you call yourself my friend, if you have a bigot that gets in the office, okay, no matter who you like, here's someone telling, he's going to profile me. I'll say this one last story. I was working for CBS Sports back in 1996. I had a Caucasian friend. He happened to be a Jewish guy. We were driving across the Bay Bridge going over to the Coliseum to do a game. And he said, Charlton, if you see black guys in a BMW, you know they're up to no good. I was driving a BMW and I was driving him. Okay? But he was so numb to the fact that I wasn't his stereotypical black man, he felt comfortable saying that. I still see this guy working on LA Laker games on television, Big C, because it doesn't affect him. I told him that was wrong. And that's stupid to have that mentality. He later apologized, but if I was just another white guy, he would have kept that same opinion, Big C. I hope we can eradicate that with our TV and radio brethren, Big C. I'm so passionate about it. I'll get your thoughts just to close it out on the game tonight with Miami at Cincinnati. What does it mean for the NFL? And what does it mean for sports if we can use this thing called sports to bring our society together, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, what I would like to see is a little more input from the announcers on these games who have this huge stage, this platform, to speak about the inequality of social issues in America. They need to address it because, especially in Miami, which is a cultural melting pot.
Oh, yeah.
The game is in Cincinnati, and they've had problems in Ohio. We've seen the tragedies that have occurred in Ohio, Charlton, over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Especially just a month ago when the young boy was killed, 13 years old, by police officers. So these are the issues that they have to speak about. The game, yes, the game's going to go on. But the issue of life and parity and fairness in America is what we seek.
Yeah.
And that comes to athletics. On the game night tonight, whether you're watching the NFL game or the college game, there's parity.
Yeah.
There's equality.
Yeah.
Everyone is out there with the same common goal
of
achieving success. That needs to be the American platform, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that we all can achieve success, whether it's through sports or whether it's through life.
Yeah.
But that's the American way. Let's not go out and bash a particular athlete because he has a stance. Let's not go out as a governor and regents of a university about expulsion of young African-American athletes that we brought there to help make us money because they're not doing all the things we told them to do and they're not being criminals.
Yeah.
So let's let America be America. If you're anti-American, that's going against another American, Charlton. That's anti-American. Sports, watch the game, have some peace. Cincinnati should win this one.
Yeah.
But let Americans be Americans and stop being all this violence.
Well, Big C, I love what you bring to the program. You're not a dumb person, and I might get some flack for saying this, but I hate dumb people. I like people who are well-read. I like people who read. I like people who pay attention to what's going on in society because we make it better. And I think it's going to take African-American broadcasters and our white brethren to make life better for all people. As we always say on our show, there's no room for domestic violence. Let's keep our women safe. If you know any woman going through any kind of trouble, any domestic violence, simply call 911. Don't make her do with it on her own. The same thing with racism and sexism. If you see anyone doing wrong, call them out. Make them explain themselves as to why they think the way they think, even if it's us. And every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Worldwide, you can follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And as we always like to say, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.